Come on, Alan, let's do it. Come on, Alan. Alan Howarth. He's been in many films. Yeah, John Carpenter did this original. But this is number 4. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Welcome back to Johnny's Corner. It's been a long time, I know. But we're getting back into it. Today I just wanted to do a little bit before I get out there. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm sure you're not watching right now. It's sunny. You're at work or you're in the sun. But we're going to do a little Johnny's Corner reviews. All right. So, the music playing there was Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers theme. I guess we'll start off with that one. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So this movie came out after Season of the Witch, which is a very fantastic film in my opinion. We've done a review on that, Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. So Halloween 4, we get back to Michael's world. So I believe it starts off, Michael, he's been badly burned, and he survived Halloween 2. Dr. Loomis blew himself up, including Michael. Michael's face was on fire. He was blinded. Man, this guy is definitely a demon. He can't be human. And at this point, so now he's comatose in one of the most restricted insane asylums in America. Great first scene. They're going down into this hospital, in the depths of the hospital, kind of like the feeling of Hellraiser 2, the secret depths of the insane asylum where they keep the real bad apples. One of the cops, he's a funny side character. He's in The Quest. He's in a couple films, and he says, "You never get used to the screams. You never get used to the screams. Never, never." And it's a good start. So for some reason, they're gonna transport Michael Myers. Dr. Loomis is alive. He's horribly disfigured at this point. He gets wind of the transfer, and he says, "Are you crazy?" Of course, what happens is Michael Myers escapes, kills everyone in the ambulance, including the sheriff's officers or whatever, and the marshals or whatever. And he's on the run. So quickly, Dr. Loomis follows his trail of destruction, ends up at this gas station where they have a little standoff. And for some reason, Michael doesn't want to kill Loomis right away. He's got, I don't know. Maybe it's because he's the only guy that ever talked to him. But they square off a little bit. And then he continues his journey off into Haddonfield. So we take place in Haddonfield. We have this family. It's a dysfunctional family. We got the father. He's kind of a drunk, kind of an asshole. I think he beats his wife. Not good. And then you got the stay-at-home mom, zipper.com. And then you got this young lady. I believe her name is Ellie Cornell. And she's this chick. She's dating some guy. This guy's not getting laid, so he's kind of, he's talking to some other girls, blah, blah, blah. And then we have, what was her name? Yeah, Danielle Harris I think it might even be her film debut. She's a young girl in this. She later does many movies. She's in Roseanne. She's in the show Roseanne. But she's this little girl, and apparently she's one of the last kin to Michael Myers. So she's related to Michael Myers. And she's having visions. She's seeing him kill people. So she's having these weird visions, and she's scared, and it's Halloween, and kids are picking on her. Kind of similar to the first Halloween with Tommy Doyle. But, so this family has adopted this girl. So they're living in Michael Myers' old home. Because obviously the drunk dad got a good deal on the real estate. But they're living in the murder house, so that's always fun. There's some parties going on in town, blah, blah, blah. Turns out her boyfriend's getting frisky with the town pump, and she's not too happy about that. So anyways, they end up at her house because they find out that this Michael Myers is around killing people. So they hold up at the sheriff's house, and the sheriff comes home to see his daughter with some weird dude. And he's like, "Yeah, you lay a finger on my daughter, you're dead." By the way. Anyways, there's some good scenes. Michael somehow gets into this house. This guy puts up a pretty good fight. This kid, he starts hitting the guy with the shotgun barrel or something, and yeah, Michael's not gonna be phased too easily. But anyways, there's some good scenes. There's a little bit of a town lynching going on. They start shooting people that are wearing masks. Kids are playing around. It's crazy. There's some good automatic shotgun scenes. The ending's terrific. These movies continue on, so they go all the way to The Curse of Michael Myers with Dr. Loomis, and that's his last one. But this was a good one because it gave us faith that the Halloween franchise was going to continue on. So I always loved Return of Michael Myers, and Dr. Loomis is awesome in this. And a shout out to Mustafa Akkad, who kept the genre alive. So check out that one, Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. Awesome. Okay, so the main thing about today is I wanted to talk about the Omen. Like, what a classic. I put it up there with The Exorcist, The Shining, The Changeling, all those classic films that you grew up with. They were in the 70s and 80s, and this was 1976, so pretty good for 76. Some really cool scenes. The movie starts off with Gregory Peck and his wife. They've just had a child, and it seems like they're giving birth at it's like not only a hospital, but it's a religious hospital. So these priests are like, "Oh, we lost your son, so we have this other kid. Maybe you can give him a home. Your wife doesn't have to know." So he adopts this kid as his own, and everything's going good at first. But then there's just some weird things going on, like animals don't like Damien. Damien's the name of the child they adopt. Damien, fitting, son of Satan. And so they adopt this kid, and he's just a weird kid. Like, there's just so many red flags. But when you're a mother, you're going to ignore these red flags. She doesn't know it's her adopted son. She thinks it's her son. So she will do anything to convince herself that her son's normal. She will ignore all the weird red flags. For instance, at his birthday party, his nanny says, "It's all for you, Damien, it's all for you," and hangs herself out the window in front of all the kids. Very nice, very nice. And yeah, so that's how it starts off. And so this guy, Gregory Peck, he's a U.S. ambassador to England. So he's a big guy in England. And, the publicity around the suicide is huge. So he's got the paparazzi following him around. And yeah, so he's in his office, and this priest somehow gets inside his office, and he's telling him, "Your son is the devil," or some shit, and he's quoting scripture, and he's sounding like a maniac. So it's like, "Security, get this guy out of here." Doesn't really pay too much mind to it, but yeah. So they're starting to see weird things. This kid, like they take this kid to church, and as soon as they get on the property in the car, this kid starts freaking out and like scratching his mom and freaking out, and he's making these weird noises like a demon, and the mom's like faints because she's so shocked her son is doing this even though it's not her son. So anyways, there's another scene where they go to like an African lion safari type thing where there's monkeys and animals, and they go through the baboon pit, and like these baboons are trying to kill Damien. They're smashing the car. They get out of there. It's a great scene. And I had a similar scene in life when we went into African lion safari with some friends, and the lion jumped on our car, and the ranger had to come in and shoo them away. That was scary. But forget that. So, okay, so there's some weird red flags. So, there's a journalist walking around. He's trying to follow Gregory Peck's character and get a scoop. And he's a smart guy too. Like when Gregory Peck's character, I forget his name, he bumps into the reporter and he drops his camera, but I'm sure he dropped it on purpose. And he says, "Oh, send me the bill." He says, "Oh, just you'll owe me one. How about that?" So, and if you know this character, I forget his name, but he's also the scientist in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, um, the Turtle Ooze or whatever that one is. And yeah, he's great in it. So that guy's in this movie. He's young, and yeah. So the father's starting to think that there's something wrong with this kid, but he researches it and he talks to the priest one more time in the park. And that's an amazing scene. After he talks with him in the park, it says, "Look for 666 on his body." But he looks on the body, doesn't find any 666, like a sign 666 on his body. Apparently, the Antichrist has that. So after his talk in the park with the priest, there's some crazy wind starts happening, like insane wind blowing. And then lightning, and he's trying to get to this church for sanctuary, but he can't get in. And before this happened, the photographer journalist took a picture of the priest, and there was like a line through him in the shot. So that was weird, right? And then after this crazy wind and lightning, lightning bolt hits the top of the church, and a huge, I don't know what you would call it, like a lightning rod flies off and skewers the poor priest, keeps him standing. And of course, they make that the front page of the newspaper. But anyways, that was a really cool scene. So eventually, the journalist took a shot of himself in a mirror, and he sees a line going through his neck. So he's like, "Fuck, I'm next." So he's trying to get Gregory Peck's character to. He's trying to convince him that we need to stop this Antichrist, or something's going on. He's like, "That's my son." Blah blah blah. Anyways, they go all the way to Rome to find out like what happened. How did they get this kid? Who's the parents of this kid? Where did this kid come from? So they go to Rome in search of the mother of Damien, and they find out that like the hospital that he was born in burnt down like right after. So it's 5 years after. The kid's 5 or 6. So this place burnt down, and like all the priests and nuns were horribly killed, except for one, who was the guy that like gave Damien to the father. So this priest is blind and deaf and had a heart attack and can't move, but he has a little function in his arm. He can like draw a little bit. So they go and visit this priest, try and find out anything they can, and he draws a little bit. And another priest says, "Hey, this is a cemetery nearby." And they're like, "Where is it?" It's like 11 miles north of Rome or whatever. And so they go to this cemetery, and now this cemetery is like it's pretty much a ruin, and it's really fucked up. Like it's a really cool scene. It's my favorite scene in the movie. And this cemetery is being protected by Dobermans. And early on in the film, Damien's so-called new caregiver or nanny, she's obviously an evil bitch, Satan's worker. And then there's also this Doberman dog, who you could think maybe people have thought that maybe that's the devil dog. So, if you see The Witch, the devil is the spoiler alert for everything. The devil is the goat, right? The black goat. So I'm thinking maybe the devil's this dog, right? So they go all the way to Rome, and they find these two graves, and they're like new graves, 5 years old, and it's apparently the parents of Damien. And it's just weird. Why the fuck would they put these tombs in the middle of nowhere where no one will ever see it? Strange. So curiosity gets the best of our lead, Gregory Peck, and he smashes one of the graves to find that the mother of Damien is a jackal. So there's a jackal in this grave, which is like a type of dog or hyena type thing. Ugly little thing. and he wants to know who's in the other grave, the father apparently, and he opens the other grave, and it's the corpse of his son. So they've stabbed something through his son's skull and killed him at birth, so Damien could have a good family, a rich family, right, with power. So they murder his son. Bastards, murderers. Great scene. And then the dogs get whiff of this. He tries to cover the grave to show respect to his son, and then these dogs chase him down. There's a good scene. Gregory's pet gets through the fence. He's stuck on there. The other guy pulls him off. And then really good scene when they get back to town. The journalist, remember he had that streak across? Well, really cool beheading scene happens there. And then the rest of the movie goes back to England, to his home. He confronts the nanny who attacks him. He has to kill her and fight this dog and everything. And then he grabs his son and he looks under his son's scalp and he sees the 666. And I'm not sure if he does that at the church or not, but he has these like ancient knives, daggers, which he has to use systematically to kill Damien. And there's like, he has to do it like in a ceremonial way. It's fucked. And anyways, so he has to do it on holy ground. So he takes his son and screaming, ah! Man, this kid was fucking perfect for the role. Just really annoying and ugly and scary and creepy. I'm sure he didn't have the best career after that. But anyways, so the police are following him because they see this blood trail left at his house, and he goes to kill his so-called son with the knife, and he gets shot. So that's the end of the movie. It leaves it open for a sequel. And I think there was like 4 more movies after this. I know there was number 2, the kid's like growing up. And then there was number 3 with Sam Neill as he's an adult, which is a really good one. And then there might be a 4th with like a chick, but I can't remember that. But anyways, The Omen, what a classic. Freaking awesome. Great score. Jerry Goldsmith, I believe, did the score. Yeah. And he does so many good things. Jerry Goldsmith's the man. And Alan Howarth from Halloween 4 is also the man. He did a lot of movies with John Carpenter, including Escape from New York, Darkness, or whatever that movie's called. And yeah, great stuff. Check it out. The Omen. 666. All right. Now we're going to finish this one off with a movie that probably not too many people have seen or heard of. I know we've all heard of The Prophecy with Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken. I'm not the best at that. But yeah. No, this is called Prophecy, not The Prophecy. So it's Prophecy, the monster movie. Look at that. It's a nice little embryo right there. So, man, they don't make them like they used to. You know, you could do this movie now and it just wouldn't stand up. It didn't have the movie feel. Like, this had the production of, like, you know, like the Magnificent Seven, or, you know, it just had, like, good production value, even if it was silly. It just had that movie atmosphere you come to expect from the 70s and 80s. And so this is a movie from John Frankenheimer. A Robert L. Rosen production, Prophecy. Talia Shire, I believe that's the chick from Rocky. She's the star in this. And Robert Foxworth, I haven't seen him in many things, but he was really good in this. And he plays he's like a doctor, biologist type thing. And what he does is help communities in need. So the movie starts off and he's helping like a community in the Bronx or something in New York, and this landlord's he's not fixing the apartment, it's falling apart, there's rats, and so he goes in to investigate, and he finds that this kid's getting bitten by rats, and it's just not a safe place to grow up. And the poor mother's like, there's rats here, and the landlord's like, it's chicken pox. He's like, that ain't no chicken pox. And you know, the landlord's like, well, they gotta live somewhere too. So it's just really crazy, and it's just like, still to this day, it's fucked up shit like that. But Arman Asante is in this, and he plays a native, and I pretty sure he's not native, but that happened a lot back in the day. You know, people blackface and all this shit. Um, China, or what was that? Casablanca? No, I don't know. But anyways, a lot of these movies had people playing different races. I think it was probably about casting. Armin Asante was a big guy back then, and like if you can get him for a B movie, you get him for a B movie. He's great in Judge Dredd. He's the villain in Judge Dredd. He's Judge Dredd's evil twin brother. If you wanted to know who that was. So yeah, this is 1979. 102 minutes. I'll read the back because no one's really seen this movie. So, Prophecy is a contemporary story of stark terror. Robert Foxworth and Talia Shire, Rocky the Godfather, star as Doctor and his wife, who, at the request of a concerned friend, traveled to Maine. Maine. Stephen King would like that. To research the impact of the lumber industry on the local environment. They begin to investigate a succession of mysterious and terrifying events, ecological freaks of nature, including fish that grow many times their normal size, and a series of bizarre and grisly human deaths. Veteran suspense director John Frankenheimer manages to present Prophecy as a monster movie, as well as a suspenseful tale about the deadly forces which result from the pollution of the environment. So yeah, like that was the cool thing about this. Yeah, it's a monster movie. There's monsters. But really it's a talk about like how we pollute the environment for profit, and how we how big companies will do anything to hush private communities that may be affected, and or maybe don't have the lawyers to fight back against these big corporations. So that's why this was such a cool film to me, and it just has that good old time feel. You can enjoy and just sit back and laugh at the silliness, and there's some freaky stuff. There's a family that gets attacked. So the main protagonist, I guess you would call it, the main villain is this giant. It's like a man bear pig, like it's like a giant bear mutant pig thing. It's some cool scenes, good music. Movie starts off where they're in the woods. It's like a rescue team looking for some lost hikers, and the dogs get a smell of something, and they go on a hurry, and they end up jumping off the cliff after this smell, but they're on a line, right? So these guys are trying to pull the dogs back up, blah, blah, blah. They all got pulled down and killed by whatever is happening. So then it's the scene with him in New York, blah, blah, blah. So he gets called to Maine. He gets in there, and they give him a nice cabin to stay at, and it's nice, and they fish that night, and they get a giant fish. They eat it. They're like, wow, this is fun. And then like some crazy raccoon goes nuts. It's rabid, attacks them in their cabin. So some weird shit's going on. They end up meeting Armand Asante's wife. She shows him her grandpa's camp, and he's a bit senile. He's older. He believes in the Gataka or something, which is like a spirit god that would protect people, who is awakened again to protect them from the evil loggers or whatever. So, long story short, I don't want to get too much into this because there's a lot going on, but they find out that mercury is poisoning this community. So the loggers, they have these logs that they put into different ponds, which aren't even just to like soak them. It makes the paper better. But see, they don't mind you testing the water. Just test the ground. So mercury is the only substance, the only liquid that's dry to the touch. It's like kind of like a trick question. They mentioned that in there. So he figures out that this mercury is poisoning everyone. And there's some really good scenes earlier I failed to mention with Armand Asante and a chainsaw holding his ground. It's really cool. Protesting against these fucking corrupt loggers. And eventually they find like these two hideous like offspring of this huge bear, mutant bear, just in the water, and they're like dying, but it's like proof that they've been poisoning everyone so they can shut down this fucking logging company. So anyways, they try and like keep this animals alive. I'm like, fuck that. Just, that thing's disgusting. Let it die. But they get tracked down by this bear thing again, and it's a big fight for survival. Most of them die, and then there's a final showdown in the end in the water, which is awesome. So yeah, check out Prophecy, the monster movie. I know you can get it on YouTube, but yeah, try and find that one. That's a lot of fun. Got that classic feel, but it's definitely a B movie. But if you made this movie now, it would suck. All right, that's it for today. Johnny's Corner. I did want to just show you guys a nice little Crystal Lake Ultimate Edition DVD collection. We'll be doing some Friday the 13th reviews coming soon because it's always classic, and there's a lot of movies in there that maybe not everyone knows about that are awesome. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk more about that next time. But thanks for checking out the channel, and we'll see you next time on Johnny's Corner. Ciao for now.